Hi, my name is Hunter Lee Soik, and we're here with Nikolas Woischnik at Tech Open Air 2015. And Nico, this is pretty amazing because, I've been here for all 4 years. I remember the first tour, it was about 600 of us, and that felt really, really special. Now to see it I don't even know how many people are here, but it just feels like a really nice, really curated family. Feels great. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, that's incredible that you've been there actually in first year. There's a few folks, and there's not many. We should almost see if we can identify who's been at tour in all years.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming back all the time. Really appreciate it. It grew quite a bit, definitely. And this year we are at around 4,500 attendees.
Yeah.
We have 150 satellite events. So in the first year we had 22 satellite events. So almost doubling every year.
Yeah.
It's also interesting how sort of the law of numbers, it seems to be always the same growth rate. So let's see, probably we'll slow it down a little bit in the future. But yeah, it's developed nicely. We want to build this platform, right, for international and interdisciplinary knowledge exchange, dialogue and collaboration, all surrounding the theme of technology.
Sure.
And it's great if we can reach more people with that. Because I think we can create more value this way.
Man, with 150 satellite events, you must have a good support from the city. Tell me how Berlin has embraced the conference.
Yeah, so the community is really taking over the event. So it's a bit like a jungle that is taking over these buildings, and it's really what we thought this should be. And that's how we sort of conceptualized it in the beginning. We wanted to be this platform for others to build upon. And now we see with these 150 satellite events, anything from really large corporations like Axel Springer, Deutsche Telekom, to international startups like Tumblr, to big German startups like SoundCloud, to many dozens of smaller startups, but also galleries, embassies, universities. So really all stakeholders of the tech and startup ecosystem. And we're really excited to see how this process is coming along and how it is also becoming more and more interdisciplinary.
Yeah, I think one thing from the first one into this one, the aesthetic has remained the same. I think you guys have stayed really true to the kind of the Berlin aesthetic in making sure that this feels new, but it also feels, a bit has its own thing. So I just congratulate you on that, and that's great. What when you wake up in the morning, especially on day one and now on these days, what's going through your head? What are you thinking about first thought?
Wow, a lot of things. The more the festival advances, this year it's 4 days with sort of the speaker night on the first night. So the more I advance, the less I think. The brain becomes just sort of this squizzy thing that doesn't think that much anymore. But in the beginning, there's this nervousness. I mean, you feel a little bit, it reminds me of how I felt when I had sort of big university exams or the Abitur, which I still dream of sometimes, that I'm sort of going into these final exams. Yeah. So it's this sort of tension that you feel. But I mean, I must say that I have this incredible team that is pretty much doing anything and everything, and they're doing it in such a way that there's no need to really worry about anything. They're so professional in how they do things, and we've grown together. We have a core team that stays the same over the years, and then we have new guys coming in, interning with us for the summer. We have over 200 volunteers and technicians, and somehow it just all works out. But it's also interesting how, in the first few hours of an event, for example, it seems a little chaotic and out of control. And then these things just start working, and it actually doesn't need any sort of managerial oversight or anything, because they're all smart people, right? And they just figure things out. And then these things just organically start to smooth them out, and it becomes this flow where then it's just enjoyable.
Amazing. So we're going to go back, and then we're going to go forward. So going back, how did you come up with the idea? What was the seed of the idea to what we have today?
So we were doing events back then for other companies. We had a co-working space and this Tech Berlin community. So we started doing events for companies like Tumblr or Spotify, helping them connect with the Berlin startup ecosystem. And we found out doing events for others wasn't really what we were looking. we were so passionate about. So we thought, well, we want to do our own event, and how would it look like? And I have a background in media and education, so for me, an event is also just a medium, right? It's a vehicle to transport content. Yeah. And we thought, well, we need something that is a little bit different to the existing startup and tech conferences. So we actually went out and we crowdsourced the process. So we had open town hall meetups in Berlin for 6 weeks, where anybody in the public could join, and we would discuss how an event like this would look like. And it basically boiled down to three things, three common denominators that people said. One was interdisciplinary, like Berlin, so tech, music, art, science, entrepreneurship, politics, education, health, etc. Also interdisciplinary in the sense of old established companies meeting the young companies, so building bridges. Secondly, that it became a platform, a festival where anybody could contribute by creating their own satellite event. And thirdly, that our content would be kind of unique. It wouldn't be these generic company and product demonstrations or presentations. Of course, we have certain amazing products that we just want to present because people don't know about it. But oftentimes you find that you sit in a conference and you find these contents that for the techies, the really knowledgeable audience is maybe not so relevant because they could just Google it up and find out how much money a company raised and how many market it operates in, etc. So these three became our core pillars.
Well, I think you guys have done such a great job and I think this goes back to the overall feeling of the conference or the unconference, how it just feels very organic and it feels very real. And so, the other thing I really like is your focus on science, and so I've been to a lot of conferences, and you don't really feel that focus on science. And I'm particularly interested in neuroscience, and to see other neuroscientists here, to see other people who are having their PhDs in various things, I appreciate that. So, to you, who are the speakers this year that you're kind of most excited about? Who do you want to see, or who have you seen?
That's a tough question. I generally tend to not answer. It's you don't want to highlight because they're all contributing so much to the festival. But what you say with science, I think it's an interesting point. If you look at Silicon Valley and always these comparisons that are being made by media, right? Which I'm not that fond of, but they do them, and I guess in some context it makes sense. But Silicon Valley has this really strong university research-led spin-offs and startup integration, and we don't see that much in Europe, and especially in Germany. So that's one of our missions also. It's one of those disciplines that we want to connect to the entrepreneurial and startup world. We had a pretty strong focus also on science this year, and going through the bios of people, you're like, holy shit, what did I do with my life? Some 5 degrees, MIT math, and Fulbright scholars. And I was like, Jesus Christ, who do we have on stage there? So it was really exciting to see science as a big part, but we also have lots in hardware, which was exciting, I think, for me. So yeah, it's hard to name just a few.
Yeah. Okay, so final question. I've personally seen the evolution from year 1 to year 4. Let's go 4 years into the future. What are you thinking about, putting your brain on the table, what are the things that you want to see realized in the next 4 years?
Yeah, we don't do that even that much because we have this mission, and it's kind of a broad mission. So to build this platform, right, for interdisciplinary knowledge exchange, dialogue, and collaboration, like I mentioned at the beginning, and it's a really grand sort of thing, right, where it's hard to make that in sort of digestible steps. Maybe we should, but we're basically just trying hard to build this platform in a way that it reaches as many people as possible in an also efficient way, right? So it doesn't make sense to have a 10,000, 15, 20,000 people conference if we then don't have sort of efficient or effective knowledge exchange and collaboration. So I think that will be just a challenge as we grow this event to make sure that it becomes effective, it stays effective, and it also sort of continues to have this familiar Berlin vibe, right? Like buildings like this probably won't be able to go into for many more years because they're growing too small. So we have to find new venues.
Right on, Nico. Well, thank you so much. Just from me to you, it's been an honor seeing this event grow and just having you as a friend. So
thanks so much for
thank
coming,
you very much.
Man. 4 years. Thank you.
Cheers.